Star Trek Section 31 is the movie equivalent of murdering your grandmother, inviting everyone to the funeral, then dressing up as a clown and defecating on her freshly dug grave while yelling, "It was me! It was me!" It's as if the writers got together and challenged themselves to combine all the worst traits of at least 3 entirely separate genres: cape shit, heist movies, and action. Maybe also sci-fi. If you look closely enough at this Star Trek movie, it might loosely be called sci-fi, and it does that badly too. If you think it premature to pronounce Section 31 the worst movie of 2025, given we are only in January, that's probably because you haven't seen Section 31. But that's what I'm here for. Please familiarize yourselves with the emergency exits, and should something go wrong, put your own mask on before you attempt to help the person sitting next to you. Let's be honest, you were looking for an upgrade anyway. This disaster is kind of like the universe doing you a favor. Section 31 is a spin-off from the so successful it got canned Star Trek Discovery. I used the word spin-off in the way I used installment in the sentence, "The Flash is the next installment of the so successful it got canned DCEU. It means final nail in the coffin.
Hashtag sad, sad, sad boy. You make me feel sad. Make me feel so sad. You make me feel so sad.
Probably the only thing the movie gets right is assuming that you never watched or did watch but forgot Star Trek Discovery. Section 31 begins with a flashback to a young Philippa Georgiou becoming Terran Emperor in the Mirror universe. Don't worry, you don't need to understand what either of these things is. Georgiou committed several galaxy-spanning genocides, literally ate sentient species for breakfast, and generally made Hitler look like the manager of Dunder Mifflin, so naturally she is the redeemed protagonist for this movie. She was brought through into the Prime universe in Star Trek Discovery and used as a kind of mildly edgy comic relief anti-hero. And yes, it is very funny that a show written by the kind of people who think misgendering should be a capital offense thought a cannibalistic intergalactic mass murderer, she's just a funny and charming sidekick. Georgiou becomes Emperor in Section 31's opening flashback by returning from some gladiatorial games in which she is one of 2 survivors. Her final task to earn her place as ruler is murdering her entire family over dinner, and this makes her a hero. It's definitely the kind of thing a hero does. How and why does the family not expect to be murdered if this is the way the Terrans choose their emperors? Fuck knows. How and why didn't it kill the young Philippa Georgiou? Fuck knows. The writers didn't think about it. I don't see why we should be doing all of the work. The other survivor who lost the games because he couldn't bring himself to murder his entire family and then several whole species is inevitably the villain of the piece. We shall call him Brutus. This is supposed to be a big surprise reveal later, but it really isn't, because the writers think subtlety is a brand of iced tea. So the hastily concocted terms of the game have it that because he failed, he is condemned to be Georgiou's slave for the rest of their lives. I promise I won't keep doing this, but how do you form a star empire on African child soldier rules? How do you sustain an empire when you give Brutus a job making Caesar's bed every morning? Fuck knows. Star Trek Discovery is cancelled and will never be visiting this universe ever again, so it doesn't matter. To confirm their new positions, Philippa Georgiou brands Brutus on the cheek with a sword. Whence the sword, you might ask? Well, you see, the father she just got done murdering on this backwater farmstead, he just happened to be forging swords before he died, so she has one to hand. It's kind of like, it's like setup and payoff, and isn't that just swell? Oh no, by the way, that's not me putting the Terran Empire graphic over their farmstead. They genuinely thought this looked good once, and then they decided that it didn't, and so they reverted to normal titles later. I think they call this design philosophy. Terrible as this introductory segment was, and trust me, you are consuming it with herbs and spices here. This is the best way you could receive it. It was probably the best bit of the entire movie. It all goes quite rapidly downhill from here. We jump to the present and the proper universe via a mission briefing that tells us all the essential little information about Philippa Georgiou that we would have got had we watched Star Trek Discovery, but without us actually having to watch Star Trek Discovery, and omitting the cannibalism and other less savory details like watching Star Trek Discovery.
This is Control with a priority message for Alpha Team Leader. Your subject is Emperor Philippa Georgiou, former ruler of the Terran Empire. It's in a parallel universe with the most criminal population in recorded history. Even there, Georgiou had the market cornered on atrocities. In 2257, she was brought to our universe and joined Section 31. But after a few years, we lost contact. Recently, Georgiou was spotted using an alias in the border territory outside Federation space, where we're tracking a new threat on the black market. This is where your team comes in. Federation treaty forbids us from crossing over that border, which means Starfleet cannot get its hands dirty. You and your 31 team will go in, make contact with Georgiou to help identify and neutralize the threat. But make no mistake, this dog bites, so watch your backs.
This mission briefing is supposed to be diegetic, meaning that though it is obviously designed to tell the audience all the necessary establishing details, because how else can we work those into the plot, it is also supposed to be received by somebody in-universe. By the end of the movie, the same sort of transmission will be used, but to convey non-diegetic chapter cards to the audience. This is also called design philosophy. The specific design philosophy being utilized here, I think, is called design nihilism. We join Philippa Georgiou in her guise as the owner of some opulent yet seedy and off-grid space bar.
Human music.
Georgiou's pet homosexual introduces her to a mysterious client who looks like Andrew Tate if Andrew Tate didn't need testosterone supplements to compensate for the fact that he has a tiny penis. The genuine article, if you will. He is ostensibly here to sell her drugs, because yep, it's still like the genuine article, which she tries without even considering that something might be amiss. And even though she already knows that he is not who he says he is in fact part of Section 31, and he's bought a team of the most insufferable deputy chief constables ever put to screen to bring her in. They are a crack team. They are an elite unit who've worked together before, except that the movie then acts as if none of this is true. So she spotted all of them the minute they walked in, and they proceed to act as if they are all meeting each other for the first time, because that's how the writers justify their constant fucking bickering. More on that shortly. We're introduced to them for the first time via a knockoff heist oh my god. Via a knockoff heist sequence that scans like the writers watched the Rick and Morty takedown of heist movies and missed the takedown bit of it.
You're heading up a team of 6 operatives and they're all over the bar.
If we don't stop them, all sentient life will be absorbed by the never-ending assembly of a meaningless crew. That's my hell, Morty. I hate Heist so much, and the crew assemblies are the worst part.
There's the Cameloid, a green-blooded shapeshifter, trying to muster sexy time with a Dalton.
Rick Sanchez, you son of a bitch!
Then there's the guy with all the high-end mech, standing at the back, looking like he has thoughts.
Nobody's hiring an ex-con with fake hands to build an ion engine.
Suppose I had a job that didn't care if you've done time or whatever's going on with your confusing-ass hands.
I'm in.
Mech life, it ain't just about the brute force.
I'm gonna say heavy on artillery, low on IQ.
How are we gonna stop it?
With a little help from some old friends.
The Vulcan laughing way too hard at the stage banter.
You son of a bitch. We got a job, Hephaestus, and there's no time to argue about it. I work in a volcano. What jobs do you think I've ever turned down?
And since Vulcans never laugh, he's either an idiot too or lost his mind during Ponfar and went insane.
No, wait, yes, of course that's the guy. Hey, Trucula!
You son of a bitch! I mean!
And the very serious human you're stuck in with?
Reel it in anytime.
She's got a stick so far up her backside, it's coming out her mouth.
Just reel it in.
Well, I'm not feeling motivated to be valuable to anyone but myself.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Get used to it. It's all so very quirky and stylish. Doesn't it just make you want to shoot the concept of cinema in the face? Andrew Tate's pitch is that Giorgio is probably really bored being stuck out here and removed from the action.
I'm giving you a chance to get back in on the action on a galactic scale.
God, isn't it just like Ocean's 47th chromosome? Having just done a tortuously long heist movie character intro skit, Tate and Giorgio return to Tate's ship so we can do it all again, but even longer.
Philippa Giorgio, meet my team. This is Mel, Zeph.
What about that Vulcan?
The Vulcan's just a machine. I'm inside, driving.
Hi there. I'm Fuzz.
We continue.
And that's Lieutenant Rachel Garrett. She is detailed to Section 31 for this one mission only.
And this is when we get our first proper introduction to this movie's idea of dialogue. It is bickering and quipping.
Zeph suffers from what we call mecha dysmorphia.
And I may not know what that is, but I'm also not going to take that from you, Quaz, and personally, I'm offended. I think you should know. It's not a diagnosis, you're not a doctor.
And I said it was the first. This is pretty much how every single group scene in the movie goes. Every single one. Am I exaggerating? I wish I was.
And at long last, shut the fuck up.
There's only one important character introduced among the very many characters we are introduced to on the ship, using the word character loosely. It's this Vulcan guy. This Vulcan guy isn't actually a Vulcan, he's actually a Men in Black reference. Because, you know, if you're a crack team of undercover spies, what you really want is a Vulcan who is obviously not a Vulcan because he doesn't act anything like a Vulcan. Because there's actually a little man in his head piloting him. After bickering and quipping and bickering and quipping and bickering and quipping and bickering and quipping and also laying out the character traits that mostly won't ever come up again in this movie, we get back on mission. There is a shitty looking fuckball carrying some important bio super weapon and he's looking to sell it. And because the plot needs him to be selling it here rather than anywhere else in the galaxy, he was coming here to sell it. Are you sick of the heist shit yet? Good, because now we're doing it again.
First, Halak was going to connect with you. Welcome. What did you try to do? Once we had you suitably distracted, Quasi would do the other thing Quasi does.
Okay, Quasi, if you were really honest, absolutely. Let's get to work. This is where Fuzz.
You wouldn't believe the tiny spot I can get into. For example, the inner workings of body modification. Oh, once I fly inside that as body mod, then it's time to get to work. So many circuits, so many things that can go wrong.
There's Garrett and Fuzz, evidently.
You son of a bitch. I'm in.
He'll be under our control, and I'll take him down. To help with Zeph. That's what I'm calling it.
But Giorgio thinks this is all stupidly complicated and there is a much easier way to go about things. Meaning we could have pretty much skipped straight to this point, but we didn't because they wanted to do a heist bit. Because the last 20 years of heist movies were only suffered by other people. So the man with the as yet unidentified bio superweapon that they nevertheless know for sure is a bio superweapon walks into the bar. And that is not the setup for a actually, fuck it, it is the setup for a joke. It's setting up the plot of this movie.
Blowing up my phone now. Going up, you bow down. Look at who needs who.
Giorgio leads Fuckball to his private room.
Can't believe you're trusting this sociopath.
Well, Lieutenant, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm kind of familiar with sociopaths.
I said don't bring me.
It's called a face part. A client of mine gave it to me as a gift, and I got one for myself too.
Try spinning. That's a good trick.
So yeah, she should now be dead, and her body and the McMuffin box should be sinking through the space station floor and drifting out into space. There's something particularly shit about watching a Star Trek show in particular pay no attention to anything that remotely resembles science, because, you know, Star Trek always used to be a techno-optimist's dream, and it was written by people who, cheap sets and goofy costumes aside, understood that scientific exploration and the exploration of scientific concepts, themes, and ideas were all fertile grounds for intelligent storytelling. But now, Star Trek is written by the kinds of people who like talking about their feelings and writing heist movies. Two of the worst sorts of person imaginable.
Impressive. Are you sure you're human?
But then, strange noises. And who should walk in through the wall but a mystery masked man who we already know is definitely Brutus. He also has a phase shift device because he read the script in advance, and so he knew he'd need one. A fight ensues. Hey, be careful with the fucking box. It's got a bio super weapon in it. Don't punch him with the bio super weapon. What are you doing?
Lab coat, rip off Doctor Strange.
Who are you?
Oh, aliens naked, aliens.
This is called comedy. They fight and chase their way through to the bar. One of the Section 31 crew gets vaporized. I have absolutely no idea who she was, and this is the actual genuine reaction that her death gets from her teammates. Then Giorgio and definitely not Brutus start fighting on a table. And because this movie thinks tone is just something you want for your abs, people laugh and cheer and treat it like it's a fight between two Z-tier influencers. I think they call that sport boxing. Someone just died, you insensitive bastards! Show a bit of respect for whoever the fuck she was. The box gets kicked through a wall and Giorgio goes after it, but because the movie needs her not to get it, her phase shift thing gets a Windows update and it no longer works properly, so her boot is now trapped on the other side of the wall. I think this means she should really have lost that leg, but you know, this movie is to Star Trek what Canada is to a real country, so it doesn't. Her being trapped means that definitely not Brutus can grab the box and open the box and reveal another better designed box inside of the box, and Giorgio recognizes it. Definitely not Brutus runs off with it, and now that the plot no longer needs Giorgio to be stuck in the wall, her phase shift device works again, and she gets free of the wall. Andrew Tate then arrives on the scene. He asks her what the weapon is because he saw that she recognized it, but then he shoots her before she can even attempt to answer his question. I guess because, you know, we need a flashback now to explain what the weapon is, so fuck it. Why not? So off we go back in time and into the mirror dimension, and Giorgio is now the evil, genocidal, cannibal empress of the universe. Brutus carries the box into her and tells her that the weapon is finished, but all the scientists who made it killed themselves because they realized that they also made this movie. Brutus is very sad. He's crying even. He's crying for her because the making of this weapon proves, in a way that several genocides with more conventional weapons did not, that she is now beyond redemption.
You could have made something beautiful with your rain. Instead, you chose to build this. That means that innocent girl I knew, she has been murdered.
This actually isn't true, as the whole point of the Terran Empire in Discovery, laughably unsubtle as it was that the whole thing was almost preternaturally evil, and the evil was self-perpetuating. If an emperor showed weakness, they would be killed and replaced by somebody more ruthless. That was kind of the point of the whole tournament at the beginning of this movie, and Giorgio will even explain to us later that she made the weapon because everyone was always trying to coup her. And I'm not going to go back into Disco and check, because fucking hell, I spent long enough enough breaking that show down on my main channel. I can't stand any more conversations about feelings, but I'm sure there were entire plot lines and character beats designed to emphasize this point. Giorgio could not have made something beautiful with her reign, and her several genocides, I think she completely wiped out the Klingons among many others, made her very popular with her people. If anything, it was uncharacteristically nice of her not to use this weapon after she got it, though I think that has more to do with the fact that the writers just hadn't thought of it yet. Anyway, Brutus seems to be dying now. That's sad.
You took the same poison? No! I forbid you to die!
This is called acting. Now we all know what the McMuffin really is. Giorgio wakes up in the present to be interrogated by Andrew Tate, who drops a bunch of references in by way of a backstory that'll never be relevant to anything ever again, because that's how character writing works in this movie.
I'm not from this time either. I was born on Earth, 20th century.
You are 350 years old.
I slept most of that time. After my exile, the eugenics wars, augments, took my planet. My home. There was maybe 10 of us who fought. Everyone I knew either took a bullet or a blade. I gave some back. She noticed me, the augment who slaughtered my family. They called her Gary, the Mark. She took me in, made me stronger than any human should be. She ripped me apart and turned me into another augment for her army. And I did terrible things. All for a monster like you. Because for tyrants, there is only one choice. Murder.
Remember Khan? Remember the eugenics wars? Remember when Star Trek was good? Him divulging irrelevant backstory opens up the next bit of the dialogue tree, where Giorgio is now willing to tell us everything about what the weapon is and why she made it and how many people it can kill. Feels a bit like a hat on a hat to me. Pretty sure we could have done all of this in the flashback scene, or we could have done it all here, and we didn't really need both, except of course to establish that Brutus is involved. But first, via a now non-diegetic transmission card, we have to hop over to what appears to be present-day Los Angeles in order that her exposition can have a more interesting backdrop.
In my universe, there were always plots, always a coup. So I built a weapon to end all threats. I called it the Godsend. It triggers a chain reaction, like a virus passing between planets. Everything in its path incinerates. An entire quadrant would be lost. If my enemies managed to kill me, there would be nothing left to rule.
Now, keeping in mind that this is Section 31, how do you expect our team to react to the news that their enemy has a bio-superweapon called the Godsend that could wipe out an entire quadrant?
Sorry, yeah, no, it's just a quick one. Is it Godsend or Godsend? Godsend or Godsend? I don't hear a difference in what you're saying. Really? Really? Godsend? Godsend. Yeah, I'm still not getting it.
The Godsend.
Wait, Godsend. I hear it now. It's Godsend. No.
Someone give me a fucking gun. I want to shoot something, preferably the writers. Having come all the way off the ship and down to the planet's surface for some exposition and quirky bickering, at the close of which Giorgio tells us that their prisoner, the client from earlier who bought the weapon, must have somehow crossed into this universe, they decide to go back up to the ship to interrogate him, because they are
Mother of the Fatherland.
Overlord of Vulcan.
Dominus of Kronos. Regina under Philippa Giorgio. Augustus Iaponia Centaurus.
Come on.
So come with fries. That was good.
No, please do it again. Do it harder. The client tells us how he happened to get a hold of the most valuable weapon in any galaxy ever. It was stored at his facility. Because that's what you do when you create a superweapon to ensure that nobody ever launches a coup against you. You put it in storage.
So you tried to sell it?
Yeah, I wanted to live here quietly on its proceeds.
Because that's what you do when you come into possession of a superweapon that can wipe out entire quadrants. You try and sell it to make a bit of money, in a seedy bar, in the middle of nowhere to nobody in particular. You sentient fucking enema. How did he get from one universe to the other? I think STD did establish that this was very difficult to do, which is why hardly anyone was ever able to do it. Well, it turns out now you can just wait for an ion storm to occur in the right place. You can predict it even. It's guaranteed to tear open the fabric of space-time and let you cross over. And the only reason this massive expansionist, genocidal, militaristic empire hasn't already done it is because they had to save that threat for this movie.
Terran
Empire's burned through its resources. There's famine, entire ecologies are collapsing. They need to find a new territory to conquer and strip mine. When they realize that their super weapon is gone, they're gonna find that passageway, you know they will, and they'll come and they'll burn everything they touch and enslave the rest, because that's what the Empire does.
The Terran Empire burned through the resources of a whole universe. Somebody please call in a bomb threat to Secret Hideout. Look, here's their address. It's on Google Maps because they can't even do their fucking name properly. The tear in the fabric of space-time is due to open again in 4 hours, at which point the client was due to hand over the weapon. He also tells us that there is a mole on the ship, and right on cue an explosion occurs that knocks said ship out of the sky, and sadly almost everybody survives. Except this guy. I think this was the client. He burns to death. How do you think our characters will react to this horrific setback?
Well, this is great. Even better. Is that the ship? Is the ship gone? I like that ship.
What happened?
And how do you suppose this serious and well-adjusted team of professional special forces agents will react to the news that there is a spy among their number? Could it be bickering and quips?
Could be you.
Could be you.
If it were me, I would have murdered all of you already.
Look, boss, if there's a mole, you know it's not me. I mean, that sounds pretty moldy to me. I don't know. We've been like 10 ops together.
Yeah, and I still don't even know what you look like, do I?
No one knows what a camelot looks like. You might change it to anything you want. What fuzz, huh? You can throw a whole other scale than anybody else. Deflecting? My wife is about to lay our first litter of egg sacs. No, I have 190,000 hatchlings on the way, and I want them to lay. Look, you can find a motive for any of us. Or it could be a combination of any of you. You're like zapping and fuzz or...
with that mouth. You cannot laugh at a choice.
Maybe you're putting it in my head because you're the mole. How about Garrett? She's new. She doesn't care about us.
I'm Starfleet.
Ooh. Anyone else feel it? A rogue breeze right there, ruffling her cape.
There's an old ship up there. An old garbage scow. Yeah, I found it when you were up there on Stargate Metal. It must be years since anyone flew it, but I think we can work with it. Go after whoever took the guts.
I just like you less.
I want someone to like me, I get a dog. I like order. I like prediction and conclusion.
Then you're on the wrong team because we've got Mo.
Stranded on a dead planet. No communication with the outside. And less than 4 hours before the Terrans get the Gauntlet and use it anywhere in the galaxy.
Speaking of which, Quaz, what about the antenna array?
Well...
Oh, are we done? Are we done with the bickering and the quips? I'm sure glad we showed the group's transition from childish, mistrustful, argumentative, loudmouthed bullshit to childish, mistrustful, argumentative, loudmouthed bullshit. I love it when significant plot developments make no difference at all to people's relationships because we front-loaded the fact they were always fucking wankers. Now look what you've done. You've made me use British insults. Like Melanie Mack calling everyone a cigarette when she's angry. And she's not even British, so I can't imagine what might be going on there. Happily, they landed right next to a communications array, so the plan now is to fix that and use it to call in the rest of Section 31. If this is their best team, I can't wait to meet the less competent employees. Even though the plan was presumably to kill Section 31 when the ship exploded, the mole has taken the precaution of fucking around with the comms array just to make sure that this movie hits the 90-minute mark. More quipping ensues.
I'm sorry. I'm supposed to go out into the woods with 2 people who want to kill me? Just stay inside of each other and don't get dead, okay? Yeah, thanks, Cap. I mean, just 50-50 shot. One of them wants to kill me, and then 25%. Well, just get your ass out there.
Some of them go to visit another old crashed ship that for reasons of convenience either crashed or was abandoned wherever the fuck we are, however the fuck long ago. At nighttime, we were told the interdimensional portal would open in 4 hours. Now it appears to be morning, but don't worry, we've still got plenty of time to figure out who the mole is. It's the Vulcan guy. And why the mole is. He's just kind of a dick. And to fix the ship and to chase definitely not Brutus and to bicker and quip and bicker and quip some more. Giorgio tells us a bit more about the evil superweapon she made.
Your engineers, did they install a failsafe? Can we disable it remotely?
There is no failsafe. I wouldn't allow it.
Sometime later.
Awaiting biosignature confirmation.
That, you walking testament to fetal alcohol syndrome, is a fucking failsafe. Without much relevance to anything whatsoever, we also learn that she ordered the weapon to be destroyed at some point, but instead of destroying it, somebody took it and hid it. Someone took a weapon explicitly designed to be the ultimate power in the universe, a guarantee against coups, and they didn't use it to launch a coup. Rightio then. We had to save it till this movie. And Giorgio Giorgio never thought it might be worth confirming that the most powerful weapon in her whole universe had really been destroyed? That's stupidity all the way down. The movie goes all the way up too, but bails just before, having a giant flashing neon sign saying, "The Vulcan is the mole."
Aren't you coming?
Yes, I couldn't be more excited.
I do love me a good whodunit. That's why, after this movie, I went and watched Miss Marple. It makes an incredibly lame effort to convince us that the mole was actually the cyborg guy who has disappeared, but we already know it wasn't the cyborg guy because we already know that it's the Men in Black 4 reference over there. But yeah, fuck it, let's all go searching for the cyborg, why not?
Observer, do you copy?
Please, Raider 1, when do I not copy?
This character's sole established characteristic is that she is a straight-laced professional Starfleet officer who finds the lack of professionalism among her colleagues irritating. I mention this without comment. There is then a perfunctory dialogue scene between Andrew Tate and Giorgio that pretends like she's on some sort of arc.
Oh, so that's why you chose me? You think I'm a monster who feels enough to be controlled, but still do the real dirty work?
No, I think you want the godsend back because you know it's your one chance to redeem yourself for all the shit you've done.
I want the godsend back because it's mine.
Then they find the cyborg and he is dead. But because everybody in this movie hates each other, nobody gives a fuck.
Influencina, cowpox.
What are you saying?
I'm reciting the names of me hatchlings. Since one of you is going to murder me, I'm never going to meet him, but at least I can honor them. One by one. Trip 2. Tonsillitis. Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever.
Are you gonna sob out 190,000 names?
How can you be so cold and insensitive?
Because this movie was written by fucktards who get comedy tips from Reddit. They've just lampshaded everybody's wildly inappropriate reactions in the form of a bad joke, which is the origin of the wildly inappropriate reactions in the first place. Every single death in this movie reminds me of MODOK. Nothing should remind me of MODOK. The movie then runs into... okay, fuck it, no. The movie is just a difficulty. But it runs into a very specific new difficulty because it chooses to have the dead corpse evidence be a cyborg whose memories are recorded, which means it's incredibly simple to figure out the truth, isn't it? You just play back his memories. But we're not actually ready for that to happen yet. So even though the movie has Andrew Tate lay out this incredibly simple solution,
we could connect one of the tricorders to his suit. Whatever data's left, we'll know who did this.
It then pretends that nobody suggested doing that, so we can have even more bickering.
You say that like we're all suspects. We're not, right? Fuzz, me, and her were in the scow when all this happened. Everyone in sight of everyone else, and nobody went anywhere, right? Right.
Okay, but you're not the guilty party, and reading Cyborg's memories will just confirm the fact and exonerate you, so why are you objecting to the thing that will get you off, generic comedy man?
Oh, this is not Zeph's. Brunette, 25 centimeters.
This is insane.
Stop fidgeting.
I've been in close quarters with Zeph for a week.
Okay, so you're into mecha boom boom. Lots of humans, huh? No shame.
Why is Zeph's blood underneath your fingernails?
Because it's obviously a ruse, and you'd know it was a ruse already if you'd done the thing you just said you were going to do in the fucking first place. You can't have a character introduce a simple solution to a problem, and only after that try and drum up tension with misdirects that would be refuted if you just did the really simple thing that you yourself just said you were going to do. God fucking damn it, movie.
And deep down in that pure little heart, you're actually a Chaos Goblin, aren't you?
I hate how all of these characters learned English from fucking TikTok.
You can torture me all you want. You will never make me a murderer.
We've got footage!
So what was the fucking point in all this then?
The footage shows Cyborg beating the shit out of himself with no enemy in sight. Which of our characters is so small as to be invisible? Which character with annoyingly exaggerated characteristics recently behaved like a suspiciously normal person, while the camera lingered suspiciously on him and the music suggested that something was suspicious and was suspiciously about to be suspicious about him? These are the thoughts going through Philippa Giorgio's head as everybody else bickers again.
Not talking about the suit, you're talking about Zeph.
Oh, this isn't Fuzz. And the Belkin's just a machine, you know, I'm inside. You wouldn't believe the tiny spots I could get into.
Surprise, it's exactly who you always thought it was.
Hands up, Fuzz.
Shite, never shite.
But oh no, he's still hacked into the cyborg's corpse, so he causes a non-lethal distraction, even though a lethal one would have been better. And then he runs away via a shitty tunnel chase fight sequence where everybody continues to not die, until finally Giorgio gets the better of him and he pointlessly spills all of the beans. Who he's working for and why, and so on and so on. It's a monologue. Everybody knows monologues are good writing.
You condemned your only friend to slavery, and then you had the balls to offer him kindness at the end. How could you know that? Glad you're catching on. He played you, Emperor. Sounds alive.
Which is all self-defeating because he then gets beamed up. So all he's done is snitch on his own boss and give his enemies a lead they might otherwise have been lost without. For no fucking reason. Up on Brutus's ship, the writers continue to think the whole Godsend name confusion bit is just hilarious.
Yes, so that's it. The almighty Godsend. When you're emperor, maybe start by naming it something less confusing.
While back in Los Angeles, our heroes deduce that his plan is to detonate the superweapon in this galaxy and then invade. Invade to capture territory and resources that they have first wiped out with a bioweapon. And they plan to do it in this order because if they detonate the bioweapon, Starfleet will scramble its forces in response. And that is obviously better than taking them by surprise. Giorgio says they are stuck because they can't track or follow their enemy.
You can do better than that. I can't. The Godsend is me. I'm the only one I could never defeat. The past always catches up with you. Right?
That doesn't really apply to this situation, though. The Godsend isn't you. It is, in fact, a bio-superweapon. You know, we've been talking about that for the last, hour of movie? Unless the movie is trying to tell us that it cannot be activated without you. But if that's the case, then you being very far away from it is actually the best possible outcome, because it means that Brutus's plan can't actually work. I'm so confused. Anyway, it turns out they can both track and follow Brutus after all, because it was Andrew Tate who stole the techno bullshit coil that lets this garbage ship fly, and he just kept it secret because he was scared of the mole or something. I don't care.
I'm assuming Sam's ship will be armed?
Yep, every Terran ship's armed. They'll have photon cannons, torpedoes, and we are a garbage barge.
Why are you laughing?
Because I can't imagine things getting much worse.
Yeah, see, that joke just works better on the meta level. And yes, before you ask, a garbage ship does have shields, and it has a warp drive capable of catching up to an actual warship designed for interstellar flight. It's like saying a dump truck could catch a Bugatti. Very clever, much believable. I am so glad this is a Star Trek movie. So they launch and fly off, and generic comedy man does another very hasty bit of setup for something we are about to see.
This thing flies around in the middle of a tractor field. People jetting their garbage in space, and the scout flies around and drags the trash along with the field. Once the tractor field is full, it dumps the trash in the nebula where it disintegrates in the radiation.
I just want to be clear. You're saying that our best potential weapon is a beam for collecting garbage?
Yes.
And then we rejoin the Evilman to learn about Brutus's motive.
What do you want? I want Philippa Giorgio to marinate in her own defeat.
That's kind of it. Short and sweet. What an excellent villain.
Alert. Incoming vessel.
Of course she got it off the ground.
I say we should use the torpedoes.
Say, you know what you could have done? You could have used the torpedoes before she got her ship off the ground, you puffin. You had a whole warship in orbit, heavily armed. Your enemies were in a ship which had no shields, it wasn't even switched on, it wasn't moving, it was grounded. They were out in the open. You could have just killed them and left, and your plan would have gone off without a hitch. But fuck it. No, we're doing this instead. Then I don't know why we're just doing it like this. The Evilmen obligingly fire just one torpedo at a time, which the garbage ship can tank because reasons. And then the garbage ship applies its garbage hauling tractor beam to the much bigger and more powerful starship.
Navigation control suspended.
I don't think this is how it's meant to work. You don't just auto-suspend navigation control whenever any ship of any size applies any tractor beam of any strength to your ship. By this logic, Picard could have dragged an entire Borg cube away if he'd stuck a tractor beam up Wesley's ventilation duct. How about turning navigation control back on and driving in the other direction? Maybe that's a good idea.
She's trying to stop me from reaching the Empire.
Oh. Okay. But hey, surely they can just launch more torpedoes and phasers and shit at the tiny little garbage ship. Its shields can't last for long.
I can't get torpedo lock. Cannon's offline.
Oh. Fair enough, then. The garbage ship drags the big old starship into a radioactive nebula, and sadly, nobody gets cancer.
This is chaos, Garrett. You know you love it. Maybe let it in, make out with it a little. It's why Starfleet put you here.
Chaos is my friends with benefits.
Why must you all speak like this? Then they beam over to the big old starship for a big old final battle.
This contest only ends when one of us is dead!
No, that wasn't the rules of these shit games, remember? We actually had a whole flashback establishing this right at the beginning of the movie. The contest ended because you didn't kill your parents, and that made you into a villain. You lost, and you were meant to be an eternal slave, because you lost, and the contest had ended. If the contest only ends if one of you dies, then why didn't one of you die way back then? Why didn't the Empire insist Giorgio killed you like they really should have done? Oh, but then I guess we'd not have got this wonderful, wonderful movie. Neither Giorgio nor Brutus remember that they used to have handy little phase shift devices that might have come in handy here, so it's just a straightforward brawl in which they do the very modern thing of closing to melee range while holding their ranged weapons, because hand-to-hand combat is just more engaging. Men in Black 4 stabs Andrew Tate, but rather than finishing the job, he evacuates his Vulcan body and flies off.
I was nothing. That boy was soft, weak. But all those years under your heel taught me who I am now.
He starts monologuing. He starts like this prepared speech about how feeble I am compared to him, how inevitable my defeat is, how the world will soon be his, yada, yada, yada. Yammering. I mean, the guy has me on a platter, and he won't shut up.
The Empire's coming through that portal. My Empire. And we will reign over this universe with righteous mercy, not like you.
My dude, your plan was to wipe out an entire quadrant with a bio-superweapon. I don't think you have the moral high ground here. Also, how and why the fuck would you have been made emperor? You were a slave who failed the trials. Wouldn't they have just launched a coup against you, or grabbed another bunch of children and made one of them the emperor?
There are no benevolent dictators.
You're lucky I'm not a Rick. Point taken, but this is no time for arcs.
Now, I'm just going to relate the events over on the garbage ship because, fuck it. Starfleet Chaos Goblin goes down into the big trash compactor and just happens to find some sort of demonic children's toy that just happens to have an illegal power source in it that just happens to become explosive when you pour some sort of green liquid over it. The plan is to eject this behind them.
Consoles are language I don't know. I can decipher some of it, just have to break it down into morphemes. Then you...
Large explosion impending.
Either of these two buttons could open the cargo bay.
Okay, so push them up.
Either of these two buttons could also initiate a self-destruct protocol.
But you flew this ship all the way here. You used the tractor beams. You powered up your shields. How did you do that if you don't speak the language? We're going to have a conversation about the meaning of comedy when this is all over. The bio-superweapon has just been rolling around the deck during this protracted fight scene. Having earlier told us it was awaiting biosignature confirmation, which it has not since received, it gets bored and decides it doesn't need that anymore, so it's about to blow up as well. The demon toy thing explodes. It takes out Men in Black 4. Giorgio has some sort of seizure.
Stabbed himself?
Yeah, he stabbed himself a lot.
And we are supposed to think that this is sad.
This is not what I want. Please, I love you. Sorry.
You were right. Still needed you to show me who I am, even now.
Fascinating.
She committed several genocides, ate sentient creatures, tortured you, enslaved you, built a weapon that could wipe out whole quadrants, and ruled over the evilest of all the evil empires with an iron fist and an insufferably chirpy sense of humor the entire time. You seem to have gone on an arc that belongs in a movie where none of the above is true. But since all of the above is true, fucking no! Oh, but then he dies. Let us observe a period of silence that affords him all the respect he is due.
Ion storm convergence imminent.
Oh, fair enough. Back to it. The ion storm duly occurs. The portal opens. Giorgio activates the super weapon. She and Andrew Tate prepare to fly into the portal with said weapon.
Computer, target lock on the passageway.
Navigation control suspended. Target lock malfunction.
I can't get torpedo lock. Cannon's offline.
Detonation in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Whoa, wait up a minute. That weapon you said could wipe out an entire galactic quadrant. It detonated while you were between two galaxies. I'm pretty sure you weren't fully out of this galaxy yet. Haven't you, in the best case scenario, just wiped out an octant of two galaxies? Even if you got all the way through and it detonated in the mirror universe and none of the effect came back through the portal despite the portal still being open, didn't we just learn that the Terran Empire had been taken over by someone who wanted to rule as a benevolent dictator? Impossible, though you've decided that that is? I know we were told they'd run out of resources in their entire universe, so they were planning to invade this one. But shouldn't you then have contacted the Federation and let them know what's coming? Isn't a war in which lots of soldiers die preferable to one where you wipe out an entire quadrant full of trillions of men, women, children, and everything in between, innocent and otherwise? I am very, very unsure of the morality of this decision, but thankfully we don't discuss it at all ever, either before, during, or after it occurs, so fuck it, moving on. And hey, at least the evil bitch queen from another universe gave her life to save lives, and also probably take billions more. At least we'll never have to see— oh, fuck it, never mind. No, they got beamed out at the last second. Hooray! Taking the self out of self-sacrifice. That's a wonderful way to end your movie. The portal collapses, the movie continues to think that it is Guardians of the Galaxy. And then it returns to being a heist movie as the Retardians of the Galaxy get given another mission that, if the universe is merciful and Paramount and CBS are wise, we will never, ever, ever, ever see. And that's it. Oh, fuck no, it isn't.
All here. What next? Well, not quite all. Ladies and gent, stage left. You gotta be kidding me.
So it's kind of all built around this big crew with like a cool double cross and then this big awesome twist where there's like another double cross.
Oh, I'm not fuzz. Section 31 bought 2 of these conveyances on the black market. Name's Wes, his wife.
But then, but then we reveal those things were all part of the hero's plan, you know, and there's this other crew they put together and their plan is to sort of not have a plan, but that was part of the other guy's plan.
And when we find him, I have questions. Now, what are we talking about?
I'm glad you asked. I was just letting the team know Control has a job for us.
Oh god, just end the movie or end me. At this point, I could go either way.
My better judgment has been screaming at me for 2 days now. It keeps saying that you lot are gonna cost me my job.
No, but your agent might. Fucking Borderlands and now this back to back. You're dead, Jim. Lee Curtis. Oh god, what has this movie done to me? And credits. Absolutely none of these people should be allowed to work anywhere in entertainment ever again. This has been horrible. We need a total and complete shutdown of Star Trek coming out of Secret Hideout until someone can figure out just what the hell is going on. This should be a fittingly ignominious end in the long saga of sorry abuse that is modern Star Trek. Discovery was, well, embarrassing is too fine a word for it. 2/3 of Picard was truly lamentable, and the remaining third was just kind of okay. The less said about Strange New Worlds, the better.
Why you only calling us when you got your dramas? One of these days we'll repay you, we'll slay you.
I think Starfleet Academy is up next.
Live from Starfleet Academy, this is the Starfleet Academy set in Toronto!
having just witnessed an installment that attempted to pander to younger audiences by stealing the worst aspects of more fashionable genres, featuring characters who all speak like the demonic love child of our sarcasm and TikTok brain aids. I cannot wait to see what they do with a series that actually tries to pander to younger audiences.
Alex, do you have anyone else joining the series?
We do. We do, in fact, have. So I've had like the incredible privilege of being able to direct her, and I can tell you that she is such a genius. We have Tatiana Maslany coming on board, and she is just incredible.
She did such good work as She-Hulk. That went really well. I bet the tone will be basically the same. I am sticking to my prediction that this will be the year's worst movie, and I say that in full knowledge that the Minecraft movie comes out in April. It is especially disgusting that an IP once known for its heart, its cheer, its optimism, and its intellect has been reduced to fucking this. Any sensible studio would buy out or cancel Alex Kurtzman's contract. Then again, no sensible studio would have renewed that contract after the serialized disaster that is his new Trek experience. Well, I'm done. We're done. Star Trek, that's probably done too.
They're gonna Vulcan death grip you to fuck. Live long and fuck off.